Hey everyone, this is Tamara and welcome to Book Chat Live. Thanks for watching. Today I am chatting with Callie Usher, the author of paranormal romance fiction series, The Gospels of Calais. Be sure to hit that subscribe button because almost every Sunday through the end of July, I'll be right here interviewing authors that are signed up for Rust City BookCon, and I know you don't want to miss it. Without further ado, hi Callie, welcome. Thanks for taking the time to talk with us today. Can't hear you. Thanks for taking the time to talk with us today.
Hey, how's it going, Tamara?
Oh, it's great. It's Tamara, by the way.
Tamara.
Wonderful. So, hey, how are things in the neck of the woods where you are? Time to talk with us today.
I'm getting.
How's it going, Tamara? Oh, it's great. It's Tamara, by the way.
Tamara. I'm getting an echo, just so you
Wonderful.
know.
So, hey, how are things in the neck of woods? Yeah, I do hear it as well. You have earplugs in, right?
I'm getting. Going, yes, ma'am.
Oh, it's great. Tamara, by the way.
Tamara. I'm getting an echo, just so you know.
So, hey, how are things? Yep. Yeah. Technical difficulties, people. Hang on one second while we try to fix it.
Okay, that seems okay now.
Okay, fabulous. Yeah, I don't hear it anymore either. So we're good. Yes. Technology. Don't you love it?
Some of the time.
Right. Oh, now I can't see you.
She can't see me now. It says you should be able to.
Okay. Well, we'll just continue on. I don't know.
Oh,
I can see.
There's a picture of me.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
All right. Fabulous. All right. So let's jump right in. So how are things over your way?
Oh, North Carolina is absolutely beautiful today. It's 75 degrees, sunny. Was out doing yard work with the dog and the kids and the cats and, having a good day.
Oh, that's so awesome. Like here in Michigan, I swear it thinks it's winter again. It's like 40 degrees and freezing and cloudy. It's dreadful.
Well, you get what? It's a whole week of summer?
I know. Yeah, if we're lucky, So with that said, let's just jump right in because this weather is making me depressed and I don't want to think about it. So I know as an author, you read just as much as us book lovers do. So share with us what's on your nightstand right now.
Well, I just finished Danny Harper's Changeling Moon, which was great. It was a romance with a kind of werewolf theme going on. And I am about to start Tracy Loudon's, let me see if I can pronounce, The Last of the Ageless. She's a local author down here in Charlotte, and we recently traded our first books just to spread the love, as it were.
Oh, that's very cool. So how are they so far?
It's fabulous.
Oh, wonderful.
I've been concentrating on reading North Carolina writers for the last year or two, and there are so many of them. I've got plenty to go, and by the time I get done with the first ones, the group has the second or the third coming out, and so there's never a lack of good words to read.
Oh, that's awesome, especially in a genre that you like, right?
Yes, ma'am. Though our group tends to span a fairly good genre. Yes, we're mostly geeks. I'll give you that. Some of us are slightly more the romance, some are a little bit more the fantasy or the fiction, or like Tracy's book is a post-apocalyptic kind of thing. So I like them all. I'm kind of easy that way.
That's cool. I kind of like a lot of paranormal and urban fantasy and fantasy sometimes in a dystopian environment. I'm pretty wide. If you watch my videos at all, I kind of review a whole plethora of things. I don't discriminate, but my favorite is fantasy, I think.
Well, you got to escape from where you are.
Mm-hmm. So with that said, so what books or authors would you say has kind of influenced your writing in a way?
I've been told from family and friends that they can find very definite aspects of The Princess Bride. There's a lot of Terry Pratchett, a good amount of Robert Heinlein, some Stephen King, some Dean Koontz. It's a pretty broad genre or plethora of people.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool. It's kind of like a good mesh of things. So probably a lot of people can find something that they would like in it then.
That's what I'd hope for. It's as real
Mhm.
as I can make it.
Oh, that's awesome. So let's just jump in and talk a little bit about the Book of Dean. So we know that this is paranormal fantasy, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, a little bit of romance as well.
Yes, it's what I
Oh,
call low romance, as in it's not your high erotica kind of thing, but there definitely is. There's a few sex scenes, but they're not described in super great detail. It's more the lead up to it, and then sort of the niceties of yes, this is what they're doing, but let's be private and let them enjoy themselves.
mhm. So this is an adult book, but it's just light.
Yes, the first one actually could be passed off as YA these days, I think, but the second one and the third, fourth going forward, I wouldn't really recommend as YA. It,
Mhm.
it gets pretty dark in the second book.
Oh, okay. Well, you were telling me the other day that, this is about the apocalypse, right?
Sort of, yes.
Sort of.
It's about the four horsemen of the apocalypse.
Hmm.
So technically, yes, we are in the apocalypse, but nobody noticed.
Nobody noticed. Oh
Nobody
my gosh,
noticed. Yes.
that's dreadful. So,
Yeah, exactly. Things are already pretty bad, but nobody realized that this is what is occurring, and perhaps we could stop it.
wow. So, what inspired you to write about the Four Horsemen?
um, on April 1st of 2013, I woke up from a dream, and it was just sort of this small arc that was in my head. There was a farm, there were these four horsemen people, they had horses obviously, and I said, wow, I'm going to write that down, that seems kind of neat. And 40 pages later, that first day, I had no idea what was happening next. I just It just poured out of my fingers, and I was excited to find out. It was like reading a book, and I would turn pages to find out what happened, and I couldn't stop because it was like reading a good book.
Wow, that's awesome. So, that must have been really nice to have a story flow kind of so easily and not, stumble over writer's block and all of that, huh?
It was an amazing experience. It freaked me out a little after about 2 weeks of almost no sleeping and no eating and not wanting to do anything but write. So I called my doctor and said, should I be worried about this? I'm writing nonstop. I'm really happy. I actually like have a sex drive, which I hadn't before. I'd been really depressed. And should I be worried? And he laughed and called me in and said, yes, yes, you should come in and talk about this. And so I did. And he said it's something called hypographia, which you often see depicted in movies as crazy people writing on walls obsessively.
Oh,
Only
wow.
my obsessive writing was in an iPad, and it turned into 500,000 words in 4.5 months.
Oh, wow. That's wow.
Yeah, it was completely unexpected because I was never a writer before this. I was almost illiterate until I was in seventh grade. And if my teachers found out about this now, they'd shake their heads and say, "No, I'm sorry, you're being ridiculous. This is no,
Not the same person, right?
no, not at all." But
Wow.
it was when I discovered I was bipolar.
Mhm.
That's where it came from. And they're like, "Oh, now we know. We can give you the right medicine. You won't go into the major depressions anymore." And it's been fabulous since then.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear that you're doing well. I know that's kind of a rough way to find out that you have bipolar disorder, but luckily, I guess something great came of it. You have these four fabulous books, right?
I did. And my doctor was so proud of me. And just the fact that they actually were published, I did something with them, is extraordinary in my mind. It was nothing I ever anticipated doing or even really wanted to do. I'm a fine artist. I'm a massage therapist. I have cats and dogs and kids, and have been content up till then. And instead of sculpting wood and painting, now I sculpt words and paint images on paper.
That is amazing. I really love your story. It's like, when you have something bad going on, just to make something good out of all of it. That's inspiring.
Thank you.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the four parts in the series. Is each book kind of geared toward a different horseman or
It does seem that way. There is one. I called it the Gospels of Calais because there are four books, the four Gospels. The idea of just being sort of like that. It's all told from her point of view. or 98% of it is told in a first person kind of thing, which I know you don't appreciate personally, but
Hey,
just gonna have to get over it.
I will.
And a lot of it, my husband calls it my psychological puke because it's, yeah, I know. He's a good boy, don't worry. It's a lot of it's written, I'm the main character, essentially. It's written from my point of view, and it's a lot of my experiences going through my life, woven into the story, into a fictional story. So no, I technically haven't met the four horsemen of the apocalypse, but
That's good.
I've met people who are like them, and
Okay.
their aspects of them are woven in. And yes, each book, the first book is one of the guys, and then the second and the third and the fourth, but it's a continuous story that spans the entire adventure. But one major thing happens within each book, which delineates why it's the Book of Dean, then Fabian, then Pete, then Ren.
Okay. Okay. So Sarah is the main character who we're getting this story through her eyes.
Yes, ma'am. Except for
Okay.
the occasional chapter where you switch to the guys in general, or
Hmm.
when she is captured later in other books, and you kind of have to figure out where the rest of the heroes are and what they're doing.
Oh, okay. So what do you like most about, Sarah and these four guys that you've written about? Like, how did you kind of, I know you said Sarah's kind of like you a little bit, and the four guys are kind of like four guys you actually know. But like, what do you like most about them?
Um, they're someone equated them to an after-school special. It's amusing. All four of them are different ethnic backgrounds because they wanted to blend in with different parts of society so they could go and spread havoc back when they were doing more of that. They're kind of retired at this point. They pursue doctorates. They're genteel gentlemen living on this farm in North Carolina, essentially hiding from the world. And it's neat to interact with what each one is like. I'm somewhat empathic. I can sense what other people are feeling around me, which may have something to do with the bipolarity. I don't know. But I tend to absorb, I wouldn't say the mindset, but some of the interests of the people around me.
Hmm.
So she, me, slash, um, tends to, she bonds with each of the four men in a
Hmm.
different way. She gets along with Fabian because he loves to cook and he's a geek and he loves Star Trek and things like
Hmm.
that. And Ren loves weapons, and she used to do D&D, which I did in high school, so I know about weapons. And Dean is all about gardening and growing things, and he has an arboretum, and she knows about flowers. She can name plants. And then you've got Pete, who is the scientist, and she's all about other neat, and he's also an artist. So she paints, and she, wants to paint cells and math things like what I have in the back behind me.
That's cool. So let me ask you this, because now that you're talking about these four horsemen, it makes me wonder, does Sarah have a different type of relationship with each of these four horsemen, or is she involved with all four of the horsemen?
Well, I wouldn't want to give it away,
Yeah.
but
Okay. Oh.
as the series, she does marry one of them.
Mhm.
As the series progresses, the whole thing is LGBT friendly.
Mhm.
Two of our horsemen are actually married,
Mhm.
and there are other relationships going on as it goes. She is very close to all of them. She loves all of them, but it's a
Okay.
different kind of. You have to see as you go.
All righty. Because you mentioned that they were like kind of retired, so that makes me wonder, how old is our cast of characters? How about Sarah? I mean, obviously she can't be a child
No,
messing around with these older guys.
no, she's 29, young enough to still be searching through the world. She's actually running from something pretty darn scary. Right at the beginning, you realize she's running away. She's on the road, she's freezing to death, and she doesn't know where she's going. And she stumbles across these guys totally by mistake and falls into their lives. And then they find out that she knows something about them, they know something about her. There's this whole prophecy thing. Um, she's part of their world in a way that they had no idea was even possible.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been around for, well, Dean, who has a photographic memory, says that they've been around for almost 4,000 years. Because
Wow,
they're,
that's old.
yeah, it goes past the whole crucifixion and that kind of time period. They were around for the other stuff. They were around for Sodom and Gomorrah. They were around for the Egyptian plagues. One of them was the one who went through and had to kill all the firstborn.
Wow. Wow, so that's a little bit of historical fiction in there, huh?
There's a little historical fiction. I have a degree in religion as well. So, I mean, I did a lot of research on the religious part. I found out all sorts of interesting things about armies and different, like Ren was a general in the Roman legion at one point. So I got to go learn about Alexander and other people of that nature and King David. And it's really been a great process of learning things I needed. And then finding out, like, oh, I need a hidden treasure that these guys have been, that's a lost treasure. Oh, but they found it.
Mm-hmm.
They've been the ones keeping it.
Wow. So what kind of challenges did all this research, what kind of challenges had you come across while trying to incorporate all of this research into your plot?
Had to make it make sense. Well, and as I'm writing this, I had almost no control over where the story was going. I have friends who outline, I have friends who are like, okay, in chapter such and such, I need to hit this, or I'm going here. I had no control whatsoever. I'm told that I'm a pantser or a pants writer. I write from the seat of my pants. And every night my husband would drag me away for an hour so we could go walk our dog. And he'd say, okay, so what happened tonight? And I would fill him in on what had happened during the day. And he'd be like, oh, you should try this. So-and-so could go there and they could have been part of this thing and it'd be fabulous. And I'd be like, yes, that's a great idea. And I'd go and I'd sit down and my fingers would do nothing.
Oh.
And I'd be like, dang, I can't do that. It won't let me do it. The voices will not let me do it. Yes, the voices in my head.
Mm-hmm.
And they would,
wow.
Yeah, it was a challenge because I'd come up with these good ideas or what I thought were good ideas. And that's not what the story had decided was going to happen.
Wow. So the story like kind of took its own form, its own life.
It wrote itself kind of like the Gospels. Yeah, no,
yeah.
I won't say there was divine intervention, but there was some kind of driving force in my head that said, this is what you're going to do. And you really don't get to deviate too much.
Oh, wow. Well, I mean, I guess that's kind of the interesting and fun aspect and difference about these books than other books. You know, it's like a different writing process that we normally hear about, you know?
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm told.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about the cover art. I was looking at the covers. Do you happen to have your books there?
I do. So let's see. That's the first one. So these are the sigils. Each one represents one of the guys. It's an angelic script. So yeah, that's Dean. And that one is Fabian. Right there. And then you got Pete. And you got Ren. There it goes.
Wow. So did you design those or did someone else help you? Okay.
These are, well, I designed the sigils. My husband was kind enough to do the effect to make it look more rounded, to make it just to make it pop, as he likes to say. But it was my idea to put it on the black background. I wanted it very plain, but just sort of stark and standing out and kind of grab your eye. I didn't want a person or anything like that because I do describe the guys, but I want you to have your own image of what they look like.
Okay, so I like that. You know, every person visualizes characters differently. You know that phrase or the saying that says no two persons read the same book.
Right.
And I think that's kind of the same for characters. One character looks this way to person A and this way to person B. So yeah, that's kind of cool.
I've discovered that works the same with character names as well. If you've got a name that's spelled more, interestingly or off base, you can be talking to someone and say, yes, I was reading about Hermione, And, no, that's Hermione or something, it's, and nobody, oh, okay, yeah, we're talking about the same person, but I experienced it differently than what you did.
Yeah. That's actually part of why I like audiobooks sometimes. With some of the fantasy genre books, they do have some unusual names sometimes. And to hear how the narrator pronounces them is clearly how the author intended them to be pronounced. So.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see what else. Oh, you know what? You told me you had a stellar little blurb about the Book of Dean. So this would be the perfect time to like catch our readers and watchers and
oh, you mean the elevator? The elevator sentence.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Yes. When you're trying to get someone's attention about a series and you only have one sentence to say it, you got to have something short. And coming up with one sentence for 500,000 books or 500,000 stories, words. Yes, I'm good with the words. Being a writer, it's the story of how the daughter of Lucifer saves the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse from damnation.
All righty.
So yes,
hey, you guys, the link for the Book of Dean is below, and you can find it on Amazon. So before we move on to the next topic, is there anything else you want us to know about this series?
At some point, I'm going to put it together in a compendium as a single omnibus. It is available on solid state or in the digital form, and you can get it, on Amazon. It's a beautiful thing. The Book of Dean is always 99 cents in the digital form because I just want to, part of me just wants to give it away, just so people can enjoy it. And then if you want to keep going, please do. I'd be so delighted. I love being with the look on my Amazon Kindle little app and see, oh, look, people read pages today. Like, ooh, 300 pages. Yay.
Oh, wow. You can tell how far people have read?
Yeah. Well, you can't see exactly. It'll tell you like the Book of Dean or just all of your titles. And it will say 300 pages read today, or 20 pages read, or 1,000 pages read. And it might mean all of the books. It might mean 3 different people are reading Dean. It might mean, one person went completely nuts and read through the whole thing. But it's definitely a confidence boost. It'll show you how many books were sold in a day, in a month, going forward. It's a very neat little app.
That's cool. Anything that has analytics is a good thing because
Yes.
It definitely, like you said, it is a confidence booster when people are enjoying it and reading it. That's awesome.
And it even, I just recently found out, it'll tell you where in the world they bought the book. So it'll be like, oh, someone in Seattle bought my book, or someone in Boston or Australia. And It's just like, wow, my words are everywhere.
Yes, that's awesome. So go ahead and share with us what you're working on now, because this series wrapped up a little while ago. So I know you've got something new in the pipeline, right?
I do. I just finished the first real draft, and I'm working on the edits for a series of 2, possibly 3 books that are more towards your typical romance. It's a little higher romance, a little more of the actual wording. And it is based on the Gaelic Irish myth of the Selkie people. It's still another paranormal fantasy romance. And the Selkie are a people who can shed their coats, they're seals, but they can shed their coats and they can walk on land among people, and then they can go back to the sea. Usually it's about people stealing their coats and forcing them to stay on land, but that's not the focus in this case. It's more about a woman who finds out that she's the granddaughter of a woman who was a Selkie, but she's going to die if she doesn't go back to the ocean soon. And she has to leave her husband and her child, who are human, and she has to find the Selkies that are out there. And then it's going into that society and what happens to her for the whole next year of, there's a feud, there are clan wars there. I mean, it's quite intense.
Wow, that sounds really interesting. I'm looking forward to hearing about that one when it's all said and done. Do you have a timeline you want to share with us, or not really?
I'm not quite there yet. I still need like titles, and I'm probably gonna draw my own covers again, but I still have to figure out how to break it up. It's 221,000 words, which is too long for your typical novel. Romance novels are around 75 to 90. But since it's 221, dividing that by 3 would be 70 each, and it doesn't break up in the right places. So I'm having a little trouble. I either have to trim it down or I have to add a little more.
Oh, okay. Well, at least you know where you have to go, right?
I've got a lot of good helpers. My writing group here is run by a fantastic woman named Gail Z. Martin, who is a very popular epic fantasy writer, a guy named John Hartness, and I have learned so much from these folks in our monthly meetings of do this, don't do that. This is how to do it right and get it done. And they're the ones who inspired me to go out and do cons in general.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad they inspired you because it's time to get out there.
It is. It is.
Yes.
It's scary, but yes, I'm going to do it.
Yes. No, otherwise no one will ever know about your books. You have to like be your biggest promoter, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah. So speaking of that, since you are experienced with writing and publishing, there are always authors or want to, aspiring authors in the audience. Do you have any advice for them?
Yes. Go to cons, and after some of the panels, go to the bars and buy drinks for the authors. It sounds a little silly, but it's exactly what they know. If you can, know a little bit about, do some research about their books, and go and talk them up and buy them drinks, because they will talk on end. They are friendly people. They love to talk about their books, and you can make those connections you need, and they will introduce you to the other people that you need to know. Oh, you need a publisher? Great. I've got an agent over here who would love to, it sounds like, here's my card, call me, email me, become part of my blog. I'd love to help you do this. So many of them are so gracious and wonderful people, and all you have to do is have the nerve to go and talk to them.
Yeah, that's awesome. It really is about networking. So many doors just open, or you just get put in just the right spot to talk to just the right person, and then you never know what could happen. So my motto is you talk to any and everyone you come across.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so let's move on and talk a little bit about Rust City that is happening this August. So you will be in town here for that event, yeah?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So what are you bringing with you for the signing?
I'll have the whole series of the Gospels of Calais with me.
So, okay, fabulous.
Though probably mostly selling Justine, because that seems to be the tip off. But my friend James McDonald figured out a way that we can sell e-copies to people, where we give them a card and it's got a download thing. Here you go, 99 cents, go buy it, download it when you feel like it. And people are a lot happier about doing that at cons, because then they don't have to carry around big bulky books.
Oh yes, that's nice. And I know about that because I just got back from BEA where I was lugging tons of books. So
right. And you can't walk away from them. They're so beautiful, and you just want one of each. And exactly. It's dangerous. You have to bring a bag with you and say, I can't take any more home than fits in my bag.
Mm-hmm. And that, especially if you're flying.
Yes, exactly.
Unless you want to ship books home, and no one enjoys that.
Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm. So what are you most looking forward to at Rust City?
Meeting other authors. I've made good connections with ones here in the Southeast. I've been up to EresiaCon up in Boston and met people in the Northeast. I'm looking to hit the Midwest now. And I was really excited to find out that it was happening up in Michigan, in Troy, because I lived 3 miles away from there for a good 5 years. My husband is from Michigan, and he used to work at the Cranbrook Science Institute. And so we're looking to go back to there, see our friends who we haven't been able to see for a while there. His parents live out in a little town just south of Jackson, Michigan. So it'll be nice to be able to see the family, have them come out and see what I do now, since it's just kind of been a nebulous idea. And just, it'll be neat to be back in Michigan.
Oh, that's awesome. It's always good when you can have a 2-for-1 trip,
Yes, exactly.
That's cool. So since you are, familiar with the area, do you have any restaurant or activity suggestions for the out of towners coming in for the con?
We will be going to the zoo. We lived 2 miles away from the zoo when we were there, and my daughter actually learned to walk at the zoo because we had no significant backyard. So we would go hang out at the zoo, and she learned to walk between the tigers and the lions.
Oh, that's such a cute story.
So it was the cutest thing, just going along, and she wanted to see the kitties. And there, for the longest time, she didn't even notice there were animals. It was all about people watching.
Wow.
So then she
That's
noticed,
cool.
and it was very exciting.
Oh, that's so cute.
And you got to
Oh,
go to Buddy's Pizza, because everybody, you got to go to Buddy's Pizza.
oh, absolutely. Buddy's is a good one, and there's one not too far away too. So
Absolutely.
that's fabulous. Okay, so outside of Rust City, are you doing any other events this summer that you'd want to let us know about?
I am. I'm going to be at Con Carolina from June 3rd to June 5th, which is probably the largest book writers convention in the Southeast, other than Dragon Con, which I'm still intimidated by and not ready to give that one a go yet. But it's going to be great. A good 15, 20 people from my writing group are participating in it. We're all going to be in the author alley together, selling our books, joking around, meeting different authors, and it's going to be a really good time. I'm going to be on
Cool.
some kind of paranormal panel. They haven't been fixed out yet as to what they are, but I'm really excited about it.
Okay, wonderful. Well, I hope you get on some of the Rust City panels. I think the organizer is still working through which ones are going to be on the agenda, but I hope you're on a few of them.
I certainly hope so. I've been trying to convince her to bring in the Broad Universe people as well, because that's a really neat organization, and they do the rapid fire readings, and I'd love to be part of that.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, good luck. I hope you convince her.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, so it's that time. Before we jump in and do our lightning round, is there anything else you'd like to share before we close this out?
I'm just so grateful that, you've taken the time to do this with me. It's my first interview, and I'm just tickled pink that you'd take me up and let me do this sort of thing with you.
Oh, I'm so happy that you're willing to do it, and I hope that this first experience was a good one.
Just a little scary, but yes, it's been delightful.
Okay, fabulous.
Be nice during the lightning.
Well, this is really super easy and it's fun. It's just 60 seconds, and I have 60 questions, but we never get through all 60. You just answer as many as you can, as fast as you can. And the only rule is you cannot say neither or both. If it's a one or the other question, you have to pick. So no riding the fence.
But I never follow the rules.
Oh no. Okay, well, let's just see what we can do then. I'll have my little timer set so we won't go over. And like I said, it's just super fun, easy questions, so no pressure.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Physical books or ebooks?
Physical books.
Hero or villain?
Hero.
Tea or coffee?
Tea.
Name a book that you've read in one sitting.
The Princess Bride.
Beer or wine?
Wine.
All right. Early bird or night owl?
Night owl.
Android or Apple?
Apple.
Oh, boo.
I know. Sorry. I wrote every single book on my iPad.
Oh, wow. Okay. Name your favorite food.
Cake.
All right. Romance or erotica?
Romance.
Series or standalone books?
Series.
Audiobook or podcast?
Audiobook.
All right. Vodka or rum?
Rum.
If you could pick one superpower, what would it be?
Flying.
Urban fantasy or paranormal romance?
Paranormal romance.
All right. Immortal gods or fairies?
Immortal gods.
All right. And that is it. We are done. See, that was very painless, wasn't it?
That was how many questions do we get?
I don't know, because I always ask them out of order. So I'd have to because if I ask them in order, I'll get the same like 20-ish questions every time. So I kind of just skip around the list.
That makes sense.
Well, thank you so much again. It's been fun. And you guys, everyone, don't forget to follow Callie all around the internet. Her Twitter and Facebook links are below. Her link to the Book of Dean is below. And if you ever want to ask her a question, just hit her up on Facebook or Twitter and leave comments for us if you feel like. And that is it from us. Anything else from you, Callie?
No, just thank you so much. I hope you have a fabulous day, and I hope to see
Okay.
you at the BookCon.
Indeed, you'll see me there. So that's
Excellent.
it, guys. Thanks for watching, everyone. And until next time, happy reading.
Bye,
Bye,
y'all.
guys.